This week on the MMA podcast, Fantasy Freestyle podcast, in honor of my matchup against Eric, I wanted to pull out another clip out of the good old PT's vault. As you can see, Eric and I decided to have a good old gentleman slap box. I open up with the good old jab, 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 right hook, footwork, get out of distance there, try to shift around too much, lose my footing, don't lose too much ground, land another one there off screen, proceed to go in with the flurry, but get a little bit too open and eat that big smack. After this, pretty much just duking it out in the street, both not really landing much. The homie decides to turn his camera to the side, real clean with the edit on my part. From this part on, it's really just kind of drunken flailing. Nobody really lands anything exciting, but it sure is entertaining. And that's about it. I know that montage made that fight seem way more exciting, but that's the point of a montage. And that little edit is going to be the highlight of my week against Eric, because both of my main running backs are on bye. He's probably going to clap my cheeks. But I definitely had fun making that edit.
1, 2, 3, 4.
God damn it, I spilled some drink on my shirt. Anyway, this week in the NFL, we did have a much better week for scoring overall, but the primetime games still continue to disappoint. What was up with that Thursday night football game? It's like Justin Fields' receivers couldn't catch COVID in Wuhan. And it doesn't look much better coming up either. So for the rest of week 6, we have Dallas versus Philly on Sunday night, which it could be an alright game, or it could be a total blowout. Then on Monday night, we have Denver again versus the Chargers. In week 7, Thursday night football, we have New Orleans versus Arizona, another snore fest. Pittsburgh versus Miami on Sunday night, probably be another blowout. And then Chicago versus New Orleans, another snooze fest. This last Monday night game with the Chiefs versus the Raiders was the last good primetime game since the Chiefs played the Bucs. Actually, now that I'm noticing it, maybe they should just put the Chiefs on every primetime game. I'm sure Greg would love that. Things don't start looking better until week 8, where we have Baltimore versus Tampa Bay, Green Bay versus Buffalo, and Cincinnati versus Cleveland. Let's hope that those games end up being good. Dub Club this week. Cody, Donnie, Henson, Raul, and me. This week, in our fantasy football league, everybody had a much higher score. Almost everybody scored over 100, except me. Cody broke the league record for this season with the 163. So let's hop right into our league recap. Chef defeated Christo with the 163 over 102, with Patrick Mahomes leading the way, 38 points, with Austin Eckler, Gabe Davis, and the Cowboys defense scoring an average of 30 points among the three. Greg got his cheeks spread open by Henson. Even though Josh Allen scored 46 points, almost nobody else on Greg's roster scored over 10 besides Kareem Hunt. And on the other side, almost everyone on Henson's roster scored double-digit points. Donnie came through with another victory over Vaughn, 129 to 103, even though we thought Vaughn could be the one that could take him down. Raheem Mostert, Dameon Pierce, and Saquon Barkley made sure that wouldn't happen. Eric and Raul had a barn burner fantasy matchup with the final outcome of 139 to 127. Eric once again with Taysom Hill, 39 points. Somehow he seems to have a player on his roster every week that scores about 40, 50 points. And he still manages to lose. And last and definitely least, I was able to eke by a victory over Edwin with 76 to 72. Both of our quarterbacks with a combined 6 points between them. I thought I was fucked as soon as Russell Wilson scored a total of 5 in the Thursday night matchup. Good thing that Jared Goff would be the only worst quarterback that anyone would start this week. Alright. This week in the power rankings, Donnie stayed first overall. Henson, me, and Vaughn all shifted up by one spot evenly. Raul was able to jump up by 3 spots. Eric dropped down by 4 spots. Chef popped up by 2 spots, with Christo, Greg, and Edwin forming a tight barrier over the bottom third. And I wanted to take a second to address Chef, because I already know what he's going to tell me.
Dude, how can I be 3rd in the standings and 7th in the power rankings?
Listen, the standings has to do with your points for. And I know you have the highest points for, but the power rankings has nothing to do with that. It has to do with your win-loss record as well as your opponent's win-loss record. So, I went and I pulled the numbers. In week 1, you beat Greg, who still has 1 victory. In week 2, you lost to Raul, who's 2-3. In week 3, you lost to Eric, who's 2-3. In week 4, you beat Henson, was the only victory you had, which was opponent over 500. And in week 5, you just beat Christo, who still has 1 win. Overall, your opponent's total win-loss record is 9-16. But your record should be a little better this week since you already beat Donnie and he surrendered in the group chat. And that's going to do it for this week's episode. Hopefully the rest of the NFL games this week are much better than last night's game. Amazon Prime is really fucking up with all these games this year, and I really hope that they can start to redeem themselves with the future games. Either way, I'll be watching at PT's, ready to slapbox any other one of you motherfuckers. Until then, I'll catch you next week on the Fantasy Freestyle Podcast.